Disciplinarian Ganling. Alright, so you cannot build around this card the same way that you can't build around Allura. In Priest, I don't know what to do with this. In Warlock, the card seems awesome in Zoo. But all the Priest minions are kind of, like, fine? It's not quite like Timeout Gonzo, though, because in Timeout was different. Then the card is Bad Wash. If a build around doesn't get you there, it's bad. Trash 1 and 2 drops into value. Yeah. What Priest deck are we running it? Yes. Steve, exactly. A card that can be good, but I will never put in my deck is not a good card. I will give it a 2, but there is no deck. I agree. Hydration seems vital. Thank you, Froshmorn. Yeah. Okay. Get it out of your system. Go ahead and get it out of your system. Go ahead. I don't know if the deck is good enough. I don't know. There's 1/6 Nature Study, Sam. I just want to play this with Apo, Grave Rune, Psyche Split. Apo, Grave Rune, Psyche Split, and 2 Renews. Renew, Apo, Grave Rune, Psyche Split, move on. That's it. Now, I don't know if that's enough. Don't know if that's enough. Don't know if we're happy enough with those hits. But, like, that's kind of what I want to try. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, right? Yeah, no time rip. Could play it in a Sethic deck, absolutely, though you don't have enough spells to trigger it. So the issue here is that we don't have enough spells to trigger it. If you don't have enough spells to trigger it, we have some, Wash. We have a couple of those. If we don't have enough spells to trigger it, it's kind of tricky. But we have... You could play Mass Res. You could do the Mass Res thing. I mean, Priest got some buff spells. I don't want to play the buff spells. I don't know if Death... I don't know if that's how that works with Death, actually. But I think there's something. I don't know. I don't know if we need to go that deep. If you're going to play this card, you're going to build around it. It dictates the spell choices that you make. But again, Steve said the right thing. We need to build around this. Because we're building around Sethic. And when we build around Sethic, we want to play Penance. And we want to play Time Rip often. Call Raven gifting 5 subs. Call Raven, you were the real MVP. Hats off to you. Thank you so much. Welcome. Cannot tell you how much I appreciate the support. Welcome Fosho, welcome Domjat, welcome Major Death, welcome Stefanovic, welcome Bach for Life. Pog? I told you were all wearing a freak out. Thank you, Call Raven. Call Raven, you're wonderful. You can't actually build around this all that much. Can't actually build around it all that much. Because it's a legendary. So you build around Sethic, and Sethic is a better card. 4-1-2-1 and 4-5 with upside. I'll take that. Call Raven, welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. Thank you so much, Call Raven. I cannot tell you how much the support means. Cannot tell you how much that means. Alright. Mind Render Illusia. Does anyone understand... Does anyone understand why the internet lost their collective shit over this card? Does anyone understand it? It's a dirty rat. It's an anti-combo card. Yes, it's a tech anti-combo card. But does anyone understand to me Why? How does it destroy control? Someone explain to me how it destroys control. It's an anti-combo card. Yeah, it's good against Quest Warlock, I guess. But like, it's a dirty rat. As a Loatheb, so I kind of see that. That's a good point, it's fun. It's probably better than Dirty Rat. It can be an anti-rogue card, and so like you can play this if your opponent doesn't have a lot of stuff in play. You can play it if your opponent doesn't have a lot of stuff in play. Viriatus, thank you for the sub! Tier 1, hats off to you. Welcome, my friend. Glad to have you back. It's reliable anti-combo. You can play the cheap cards. Like, you can play it, and then your opponent... If your opponent, like, doesn't get to play their Gladebound on turn, I don't know. What priest has an empty hand with all the Galakron invokes? It's a priest. There is no real control deck in standard. Priest is a mid-range deck. The generation, I think, is a thing. This is not a tempo card. Yeah, the control decks kind of want to play a bunch of AoE removal. I mean, it might be nice to take a Soul Mirror or something. I think it's going to be a lot harder to use than you think. I don't know. You can give your opponent do nothing. Maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna call this card a dirty rat, and I'm gonna move on. I was very high on this card. Very high on this card. Very high on this card. The 1/3 is an aggro card, kinda, sorta is. I think it's a tech card. It's I don't know. I think Cabal Acolyte seems really good, but I don't know. So like a 4-mana 2/6 taunt, we have 4-mana 2/6 taunts, right? We have Hippogriff. I like the stat line a lot. I like the spell burst a lot. I think having a hard taunt is kind of a nice card. But we don't have a ton of spells, but it's good with Renew. We do play it over Bone Wraith, I think. I think we play it over Bone Wraith, and I do think it makes Wave of Apathy better. The effect is good enough that I think I want to play it. I think the effect is good enough that I want to play it. Which spells are we hitting friendly minions with in Priest? In Priest, which friendly spells are we rocking? We have Renew. Renew is the big one. Renew is very, very good. And it does include your own face. So Renew is good. You have Apotheosis, you have Grave Rune, you have Psyche Split sometimes. But, like, if you're playing those cards, then Devout Pupil is probably a 5-drop or a 4-drop. Does a Priest want to play this as a 5-drop? Does Priest play this as a 5-drop? I don't think so. I don't think this is a good Priest card. Into the cube split Priest. Chat is divided on whether or not this is a good 5-drop or not in Priest. I am unclear as well. I don't know. Good 4-drop. I'm trying to think what that deck would look like. And I feel like this is probably just a 4-drop on turn 6. I think this is a 4-drop on turn 6. So here's the thing. If this is a 4-drop on 4... If this is a 4-drop on 4, then great. If this is a 4-drop on turn 6 or turn 8, what am I doing with the extra mana? You can target your own face with a Renew and Thrallamund. You don't get to discount it with the Grave Rune after you've played it. So right, we have to play Grave Rune or Psyche Split beforehand. So we have to discount this. It's 4 men on turn 8. So if something is 4 men on turn 8, is that good? I mean, I guess we do that and Grave Rune. I mean, we can renew our own face early game. I think that's totally fine. It's good with Sethic. But if Sethic is good, do we need to make Sethic better? Do we need to make Sethic better? That is also the question. And also, Sethic often is... You often Sethic and penance your opponent's minions, right? Because Sethic, a lot of time, you penance and time rip your opponent's minions. So I think I'd rather friendly characters. But Sethic is not all that great. This is always 4 mana on 4. It is not always 4 mana on 4. It's 4 mana on 4 if you renew your own face, and then you play Apo, I guess? I don't know. Like, the Split Priest deck plays 2 of the 2/5 taunts, 2 of the 3/5s, Mana Sabers. Doesn't even always play Sethic. Is this worth being a 4-drop on 8? But what are we buffing? Like, there might be a different kind of deck for this, but I think it's hard to discount. You could Feast. There's Feast. I'm going to leave this at a 3 for now. I think 3 is about where we want to be. This is also a trap, I think. How cheap do we have to make this for it to be good? How do we do that? Silence package? Silence your own thing? If this is for the cost you're giving it, or like the score you're giving it, or the cost it has to be good. I don't see this fitting into a pre-strategy. It doesn't have taunt. It's difficult. Okay. K-Mang and Schwal are the same person confirmed. We're really not good at making our life total go down. We're really good at making our life total go up. Yeah, it's a Warlock card. I agree with this being a Warlock card. Yeah, okay, I see that. Brittlebone Destroyer. Sure. Neutral weapon, buff it with greenskin. I like where your head is at. I like where your head is at. This card is harder to evaluate, especially in Priest. In Priest, it is very hard to evaluate this card, because I think we have enough removal options, and Renew is really, really strong. Apotheosis, sticking Apotheosis, if you're doing that, you don't need this card. Nah. Nah. There has to be some way for us to activate this cheaper, and I don't really want to play Raise Dead. I think this is better than Flesh Giant and Priest, but not by enough. Do we do anything with Vivid Nightmare? Hey, I love Dragon Soul Craptasm. This is no. There have been Domjad. That was Ravenous Chupacabra is very different because MTG removal is at a different rate. But yes, Raise Dead gives you back 0 mana stuff. Elven Archer yourself. You could Elven Archer yourself. That's true. You could do that. I don't think we're gonna do that. But Raise Dead is an activator. Like, that is why it exists, right? Raise Dead exists so that this card has an activator, and you can put it in a deck and then draw them in the wrong order and be sad. What are we doing with this? Sethic? This is for someone that's smarter than me. Res Priest. Oh, it is good with like convincing Infiltrator. I do not want to copy Allura with this. Do not want to do that. I don't think that's worth doing, because it's the spell pool that we're building, I think, will not be right for Allura. Good random spell, I could see that. Yeah, I think that's where I'm landing, Schwal. There's something here. Something here. Vargoth, it could be fun. I like hopping taunts. Okay. Opponent's King Crush. You could get a 1/1. You could get a 1/1 charge. This is better than it looks. This is better than it looks. So, okay. Kill a thing, get a thing. Is this Aeon Reaver? Is this Vilespine Slayer? This is often going to be like an Aeon Reaver, right? It's often going to be... I mean, it's kill a Glavebound Adept and get a 6/4, right? Kill a Glavebound Adept, get a 6/4. I think that's going to come up a lot. But you're not going to be able to soften up a minion often. You can't go face with it. Is it better than Aeon Reaver? Is it more consistent? Because we don't play that card either. 8 mana, it's 6 mana, right? Isn't that 6 mana? 6 drop. So it doesn't make a taunt. It's not consistent enough. Aeon Reaver gets you a thing and kills a thing. Why Time Rip? Time Rip gives you value and doesn't give you board presence. The reason that you would play this is board presence. The reason you'd play this is initiative, right? You play this because when you kill a thing, you get a thing in play right away. Time Rip is a very, very different card. I think this is closer to an Aeon Reaver. And what are you hitting that you're happier about than a 4/4? What are you hitting that you're happier about than a 4/4? You can kill your own things, that is true. Could steal some primes. We could pop our own Carl or something. I don't know. All right. So, do we have a deck for Power Word Feast? Do we have a deck for Power Word Feast? It's obviously insane and Frazzle's Freshman. Really, really crazy. I know you keep saying it. I don't know if Tempo Priest is a thing. But if Tempo Priest is a thing, that'd be interesting. I don't know that we have it. If we do, this card is great. It's really good with Wild Pyro. It's kind of cool with anything that's going to bump. It's honestly just 2 mana, give a minion +2/+2. 2 mana, give a minion +2/+2 is probably enough. But is it? It's a me 5 and a you 2 because I like hitting people. I mean, that's the dream wash, but do you need that to make Imprisoned Vilefiend good, and is this card good otherwise? Thing is, this card is only good when you have a minion. Well, sure, you don't always want to Apotheosis it. It's a build around that you think isn't in a good deck. That is reasonable. Am I building around this card? If I'm Buff Priest, I'm building around Apotheosis, I think. I think this supports that strategy. But I don't actually think the second sentence matters. I think the second sentence feels like it matters. Freshman's the build around? Kind of. Think... A lot of times we play buff spells the turn that we play the minion. A lot of times we play the buff spells the turn we play the minion. And so, like, a lot of times you'll go Sethic and then buff the Sethic. And the second sentence doesn't matter. Now, it can be good in the early game if you have a minion. But so, like, it's a 2 mana, +2/+2. Give a minion Divine Shield and Rush if you did not summon it this turn. Well, not Rush. Give a minion Divine Shield if it's going to attack this turn. I don't know. Probably true wash. Do we play this on Reborn copies? That could work if it's going to survive, or I guess it doesn't even need to survive. But we have to pop a Reborn on our terms and then heal it. Are we building around this? No. Schwal scored this exactly the same as I did. This is a vital support card. It's not the reason you play the deck, but it's the thing that makes the deck viable if the deck is viable. So yes, this is a key support in a deck that does not exist. That's exactly what it is. 100%. Completely agreed. That's how I'm evaluating. Yeah, it's a lot of stats, and yeah, we can play it. Like, it's fine. But it invalidates res strategies if you're playing it, because it makes your res pool garbage. You have to play it pretty early on, and the stats have to matter. So it's... Maybe this is in the Dragon Maw Overseer deck, right? Maybe this is in... If that's a deck. But you already have Apotheosis, you can play it off Galakrond. But I do think there's a Tempo Priest that will need this card. But I don't think it has the thing we're building around yet. If it is, it's Apotheosis and Sethic, and that's not enough. Yeah. Raise Dead gives you more Wisps to the Zoo Priests. Now, this is an activator for the Warlock mechanics. In Res Priest, huh? Am I calling that Fringe? Is that Fringe? Is that Tech? Is that actually... though... Okay, so Steve, though, you draw it... It's only good when your minions die, I guess? But I guess you're planning on your minions dying, and it happens a lot. Also, this is really good... If Psychopomp is in your res pool, this actually makes that a good thing, right? Because usually Psychopomp sucks when it dies, but when the 3/1 dies, now you get Psychopomp back to your hand. I'm glad you're back, Blister. Could still resummon Psychopomp, sure. Wave of 3/1s, maybe. At least you get something. Well, we're not in Warlock. This is Priest. This is Priest. We're in Priest. That's why I said Warlock mechanics, because all these Warlock cards are bad in Priest. Raise. Oh. Ray is dead. Ah. Ah. I see you. Ray is dead. Ray's dead. Ray's dead. Ah. Ah. It is a 0-cost spell. We don't have any spell burst activators that we actually care about, though. Wave of Apathy. Is this enough just for cards with the word Cabal in the name? I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's alright. So, like, okay, it also does stall for time. It does stall for time. Is that enough? Is it enough to stall for time? Twilight Acolyte was a permanent swap. It does cost 1 mana. Oh, I see it, Blister. We ran Pine Size because of Shadow Word Horror. We ran Shrinkmeister because of Shrink Cabal and Ysera. But it is kind of like, yeah, that's I do think you're right, Hockey. It is kind of like a Frost Nova. I think that's okay.